Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. On January 13th at the Monroe County Board of Health meeting, board member Carol Talukian was nominated for chair of the board and Stephen Pritchard was nominated as the vice chair. Public Health Clinic Manager Amy Meek updated the board on their COVID-19 vaccine efforts.
We're still mostly focused on COVID vaccines. We still have a clinic going every single day at Miller Drive. We've been doing Saturdays. We are going down to 2 Saturdays a month starting this month. But on top of those 2 Saturdays a month, though, we are adding a mass clinic. So on January 29th, we'll be doing a clinic at Bloomington High School South for those 12 and older. So those kids can get their boosters at that clinic if they like. We'll have 600 appointments that morning. We are still planning to go around to all the 5th grade classrooms like we normally do in the spring and get all those catch-up vaccines. We imagine some kids probably fell a little bit extra behind these last 2 years, the pandemic. And just one more note that I forgot with the COVID vaccines on our ages 5 to 11. So since November, we've given 1,534 vaccines to just that age group of 5 through 11. So we've had a pretty good uptake of that.
Talukian asked Indiana University Vice Provost of External Relations, Kirk White, and Health Department Administrator Penny Cottle if they thought current COVID-19 cases were being underreported. Cottle responded saying she agrees that COVID-19 is being underreported.
What I would say is, yes, there's a lot of underreporting because home tests are not reported, right?
Right.
And if you can't get tested and you just have to stay home and isolate, then that's not going to be reported. So certainly there is a fair amount with this level of transmission. There's no way you're going to have enough testing available, and testing times are increased because of the volume. Labs are working 24/7 and still, it's hard to keep up. So that definitely will impact the reporting. So yeah, I think always, all along, your testing numbers are always, the actual number is always higher than what's reported because there are going to be people that didn't get tested, stayed home, what have you.
Board member Ashley Craner clarified that there is not a way for at-home tests to be reported and asked if it would be best practice for individuals who do get a positive result to get tested at a testing center.
Okay, so with home tests, then I think, we would advise best practice for the community is that if they do get a positive test, is to go to a testing center and get that
Get PCR, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that that's important because I'm aware of a few people that have gotten the positives and they just stay home. So I think that this is helpful for the community and those that are watching and listening. That if you do an at-home testing kit, then do go to a testing site and get that confirmed.
Yeah.
The next Monroe County Board of Health meeting will be held on February the 10th. At the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board meeting on January the 12th, MS4 Coordinator Kelsey Thetonia introduced the 2022 Memorandum of Understanding between the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board and the Monroe County Soil and Water Conservation District.
So this MOU has been largely unchanged from the previous year's MOUs. Some of the changes I did bring to you back in July of last year. So this shouldn't look new to you. I did change a few things to kind of update it a little bit and fill out some of the language. So thank you, Martha, for providing some of these edits to us to provide more detailed information on this. So again, you did see this last July. And this is for the MOU to the SWCD, where the Stormwater Board will provide $35,000 annually for their Stormwater Grants program.
Soil and Water Conservation District Manager Martha Miller shared the work they've been doing that the MOU helps support.
Some of the things that we have going currently, we're excited that these grants were still pursued and being able to implement during the last couple of years during the pandemic and all, but we are excited about that. We also started in 2020, the spring of 2020, doing a critical area seeding program. So we limit producers to 3 acres, and they can get seed to cover areas that have been heavily used during the winter months, for particularly for livestock, but there are some other instances where these can play too, and it stabilizes the area so that the eroding of the soil or soil loss is not as significant. I did send a report of our 2021 where we had put projects on the ground and how much we had used to do that with. We are hiring a conservation resource technician with a grant that we got from the state of Indiana. That'll be for 3 years for salary, and we hope to work with the county to maybe get that to be a permanent position at the end of the 3 years if we can show the need. I don't think that'll be a problem. A big chunk of what they'll do is help us execute these, get the word out more, and help private landowners who have these issues that are affecting our stormwater.
Board member Tron Enright Randolph suggested that the application form for the grants could be more efficient in the future and noted that the program has really improved over the years.
I'd be really curious, and this is just kind of to plant a seed, is the form, as you go through the packet and you start seeing how you're structuring that form could maybe have some of that GIS integrated into it, like a survey 1, 2, 3. And so you might be, able to kind of achieve 2 goals at one point of contact. So as they're filling out the form, they might be able to provide a lot of that back end work that you do probably after everything's said and done. So just wanted to plant that seed, and it's really, really easy. And now that you kind of have a nice structure, it just makes everything easier and easier, and it'll reduce your time and effort too. So I just wanted to make that comment, and
I appreciate that.
Tell you how nice it is to see this come along from the last 4 years or so. So it's great, and I was really excited to see that people are still participating. I was looking at a couple of them, and I saw one that was dealing with some erosion control, and that's pretty awesome. And
the next Monroe County Stormwater Management Board meeting will be on February the 9th. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying. I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me. But with Girls Inc. in my corner, there for me every day, believing in me,
showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body, to say I can rather than I can't,
to say no with no apology,
to be a leader, to finish school,
to own my future,
to break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner, I will not be another statistic. I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner.
Welcome back to CATSweek. At the Bloomington City Council meeting on January the 12th, Council members Susan Sandberg, Sue Scambaluri, and Jim Sims presented a resolution that would consolidate the number of standing committees. They proposed that the Administration, Community Affairs, Housing, Public Safety, Climate Action and Resilience, Sustainable Development, and Land Use Committees be eliminated. President of the Council, Susan Sandberg, presented the resolution.
In bringing forward Resolution 2202, the sponsors recognize the critical importance of examining our legislative process and working toward improvements in how we craft legislation, engage the public, deliberate, manage our time, and communicate both internally and externally. The standing committee structure that was initiated at the beginning of this term was introduced and passed in good faith, and the last 22 months have provided opportunities to use these standing committees and assess their impact on the work of the council. It is our belief that as we begin this new year, we have an obligation to acknowledge several key limitations of standing committees and to refine our work processes accordingly. Specifically, it is the sponsor's belief that a return to using committee of the whole would allow us to accomplish the following. Allow all 9 council members to participate in discussions on legislative in real time and thus provide a more equitable, inclusive opportunity for dialogue. Aid in reducing confusion that results, particularly among the public, when multiple bodies all have a potential role in addressing a topic or piece of legislation. An example that we bring forward are the following 6 entities that could be involved in matters related to public safety: the Council Public Safety Committee, the Board of Public Safety, our newly formed CAPS Commission, Future of Policing Working Group, and the Dispatch Policy Board and PS-LIP. To reduce the number of meetings in which staff or legislative sponsors would need to offer duplicate presentations, and to streamline scheduling and simplify staffing demands. It is also the sponsor's belief that special committees can and should be formed as needed to study pressing issues, undertake specific tasks, initiate legislation, or otherwise advance the work of council on behalf of Bloomington residents.
Councilmember Sue Scambaluri explained that she believes eliminating the standing committees would make it easier for the public to understand what is going on in the government. Councilmember Jim Sims explained from his previous position as president of the council that he saw a need to reduce the number of standing committees in exchange for committee of the whole meetings.
As many of you know, I was the immediate past president and of this council for last year. And one of the things that I observed and was pretty clear about is that a majority of the council members would prefer to use the committee of the whole for full council discussions on legislations.
Council members Steve Volin and Isabel Piedmont Smith expressed their dissent with the resolution. Council member Matt Flaherty advocated for certain standing committees to be continued. Flaherty introduced an amendment to the resolution.
The amendment is pretty simple. It strikes whereas clauses and language in the sections of the resolution that would abolish the administration, climate action and resilience, and land use committees. In short, the intent and purpose is to retain those committees as standing committees in their existing form. This amendment seeks a middle ground, I think, and a compromise among diverse views on the council by leaving a few standing committees in place for reasons that are specific to their focus area, which I'll explain. So one thing standing committees can do is handle legislation that is pending before a legislative body. This is how most cities our size in Indiana conduct business, and it's how Bloomington has conducted business in the more distant past. That's not the current preference of a 5-member majority of this council, and that, of course, is also totally fine. In expressing my interest for the council presidency last week, I spoke about a need for us to accept and embrace these diverse views and work on finding middle ground. Even if a majority of this body generally doesn't prefer to hear legislation in committees, there are, I think, certain use cases for standing committees that are still compelling. Some of those are contemplated by the resolution sponsors, including the use of interview committees, the Jack Hopkins Social Services Committee, and a sidewalk committee. These committees all have some kind of proactive work to do other than handling legislation under consideration. So too did the Administration Committee and the Climate Action and Resilience Committee, which this amendment seeks to retain. With the Administration Committee, I believe many or most council members share my view that we have work to do on process reform. Changes to Title II based on changes in practice over time or ambiguities, potential work with the mayoral administration on reform to boards and commissions based on the forthcoming Novak report that has studied them. Our budget process has been under much consideration with most members over the last few years, and there's many more examples. These will continue into the future. They are not discrete or standalone issues. And while the council would of course ultimately approve any changes as a full body, having a designated group whose job it is to work on these proactive items is helpful.
Flaherty said that the Climate Action and Resilience Committee was responsible for long-term projects that the City Council staff does not have the time to invest in.
Next, there's the Climate Action and Resilience Committee, which similarly has proactive work to do with the Sustainability Action Plan and Climate Action Plans of the city. The CAP, in particular, has many legislative items that will require proactive work to develop the legislation with collaboration between the council and the Economic and Sustainable Development staff. Indeed, ESD staff proposed, and we have already scheduled a series of quarterly meetings this year with the Climate Action and Resilience Committee to work on the legislative items in the Climate Action Plan. A standing committee is the perfect structure to work on these items because this work will take place over the next 7+ years and beyond as the CAP is updated in the future. We are in a climate crisis, as the headlines and climate disasters around the country and world demonstrate on a weekly basis. And in my view, now is not the time to decrease our focus on climate change matters. Finally, with the Land Use Committee, I think there is a particularly strong case for its continued use to handle more complicated land use matters.
During public comment at the Monroe County Commissioners meeting on January 12th, County resident Margaret Clements thanked the commissioners for listening to their constituents about the annexation of the county lands into the city of Bloomington.
And I'm here to thank you for your good work in helping us with expressing the will of the people against annexation. Some preliminary numbers have come in from the auditor, and in most annexation areas, over 70% of the public has expressed that they do not wish to be annexed. In some cases, it's well above 80%. In one area, Area 1C, 89.5% of the people have expressed their will that they not be annexed into the city of Bloomington.
The commissioners also heard from Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative Coordinator Christine McAfee about a grant that the probation department received.
So we were given $95,000 in bonus grants, and what we were awarded the money to do is to continue the work that we're doing with CCLP, which is the Center for Children's Law and Policy. And you might remember they did an equity assessment for needs and services, really to build up our diversion opportunities for kids and families in the community. They wrote a wonderful report. They gave us 6 or 7 very, very specific recommendations. And this money will help us move those recommendations from being on paper to being in our community.
Commissioner Penny Giffens supported the work the grant would help fulfill.
I also like the focus on the family that you're taking, and we've been doing a lot of things with our criminal justice reforms here, and this certainly speaks to that intercept zero that we've been talking about, that we keep people out of the criminal justice system. I think this is 1000% the way that we should be addressing things. So I'm really glad that you're able to continue with this group.
At the Monroe County Council meeting on January 11th, Council member Jeff McKim nominated Kate Wiltz as president of the council and Council member Trent Deckard as vice president. The nominations passed 6-0 to 1. Chief Probation Officer for the Monroe Circuit Court, Linda Brady, explained a grant they received from the Indiana Offices of Court Services.
This grant we've received for the past 5 years is awarded by the Indiana Office of Court Services to our local court to provide pretrial services. We started out with just one position for the deputy public defender funded by this grant, and it was expanded a couple of years later to add a full-time pretrial probation officer. It also funds a part-time probation officer assistant for the project. This grant pays for only the salaries and fringe benefits and pays for no other items, no other supplies, services, or anything else. We started receiving this grant funding in 2016 because we were one of the 11 original pilot counties for pretrial in Indiana. And so we were very lucky that we got in on the ground floor being one of the pilot counties.
The council approved the appropriation of funds unanimously. The next meeting will be held on February 8th. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone. And it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Bloomington Commission on Sustainability welcomed Bloomington resident David Maynor to the commission at the January 11th meeting. There are still vacancies, and Chair of the Commission, Najla Routsong, encouraged interested individuals to apply. During public comment, Donald Eggert from the Bloomington Environmental Commission also discussed vacancies on their commission and wanted to inform the Commission on Sustainability about some outreach they could be doing with the help of Outreach Coordinator Jillian Field.
Have, 4 positions are open. I don't know which, if they're all council or mayoral. I'm not aware of who appointed them.
Commission member Matt Flaherty updated the commission on the Bloomington City Council's upcoming decisions regarding standing committees. Flaherty said he did not want the City Council to get rid of the Climate Action Resilience Committee.
There's a resolution on our agenda for tomorrow night that would eliminate a number of current standing committees. The very short of it is there's a roughly even split among council members about their utility and how we should be using them. I'll note it's a common procedural mechanism that most legislative bodies use, but there's a feeling among some members also that we're small enough or involved enough that all matters should be handled by all 9 members all the time. And we do that through a mechanism called Committee of the Whole. So that's technically a committee meeting, but it looks a lot like a council meeting because it's all 9 members and we're technically reporting back to ourselves.
Commission member Colin Murphy agreed, saying that eliminating committees is an inherently political move that he does not support.
I'm quite disturbed by it, frankly.
I think it would be a misread of the situation to think that it was just a procedural move. I'm not saying that you have said this, Matt, per se, but I think that this is more than just a procedural move, because any kind of action to eliminate something like a climate action and resilience committee on a city council is a political move, like inherently, in my opinion. And so I'm concerned about the move and I oppose it. And so I'll be supporting that, your resolution. And I would also move that any commissioners on this call today who are interested in sort of supporting Matt's efforts at council tomorrow to retain the Climate Action Resilience Committee, that we kind of communicate, maybe organize just a little bit for tomorrow.
At the COVID-19 press conference on January 7th, IU Health President Brian Shockney reported that the hospital is at the highest capacity it has seen, with individuals waiting to get into patient rooms every day. Shockney urged everyone to do their best to get vaccinated and take all precautions needed to slow the spread of COVID-19.
There are some easy ways for you to help, and here they are. Get vaccinated. Get boosted. Get tested if you feel sick or have been in contact with a COVID positive person. Wear masks in public or when around people you don't live with, and physically distance from others. As you can also see, we are not on a good path in Indiana related to the spread of the virus and hospitalizations. You can see IU Health is caring for its highest number of patients pandemic to date. 70% of these patients are unvaccinated. We are also experiencing team members being out due to COVID symptoms and positivity that puts further strain on our ability to respond to this pandemic. Yes, we have hope, and we know that this pandemic will someday become endemic to our society as the seasonal flu has become. However, right now, at this point in time, we are asking each of you to do all you can to stop the spread of this virus for the next few weeks. And how you can make the biggest difference is through the selfless act of ensuring you do not contract or spread the virus. And this will have a multiplying effect on the lives of our community and our healthcare heroes.
Board of Health Director Penny Caudill shared that Monroe County is still in an orange advisory category, but is on trajectory to reach the red category. Caudill said that the Indiana State Gravity Testing site is available for drive-through testing and has improved its signage to make it easier for individuals to find. Indiana University Vice Provost of External Relations, Kirk White, shared that IU decided to start courses in person.
As Dr. Carroll mentioned, we'll be back with in-person classes starting Monday, but we're really trusting our high vaccination rates, our mitigation testing that we're continuing, and our indoor masking procedures to give us the best shot at having a successful kickoff to the semester. And I would just say that though you hear a lot about a few colleges and universities who have delayed things, really, Indiana University is among 90% of the colleges and universities in the country that have decided to go ahead and start on time. And this is really because of the experience that we've had in managing the pandemic up to this point, different procedures that we have in place, and really high vaccination rates. Unlike most other populations, university campuses like ours that have a vaccine requirement have a high vaccination rate, which really means that your chances of getting seriously ill are much less.
White said that IU will continue to monitor cases on a daily basis and make changes if need be. And that's all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.